I'm Kim Fraser, I'm the principal of Yokine Primary School. We're a relatively small school in the metropolitan area of Perth. We have around about 283 students and we're about 10 kilometres from the Perth city centre.
The school profile has changed quite rapidly over the last 7 years, where we have gone from about 25% of the school population being from an EALD background to almost 50%, and this does have great ramifications for how we deliver the Australian curriculum here at school. This year our planning for EAL students reflects best practice, and the program contributes richly to the intercultural understanding capabilities. It became evident that we needed to have a dedicated person guiding the change, and with that the curriculum manager position was developed here at the school.
Writing was identified as a priority because our results had shown a need. The work we did was developing a scope and sequence with input from teachers at staff meetings and team meetings and on professional development days. Yes, the scope and sequence from the Australian curriculum is valuable, and that needs to be looked at as your starting point, and from there you can adjust it to suit your individual school needs and preferences.
I quickly discovered that the expectations with the Australian curriculum were much higher than I was expecting of my children currently. Some of my initial concerns and issues that arose for me though were things about how would my play-based approach and my early childhood philosophy about how children learn best fit in with the new Australian curriculum. Also, I was quite concerned about the large population of English as an additional language students we had in our class and how they would cope with those expectations as well. We usually start our literacy morning using the interactive whiteboard, and on that board we're teaching a lot of the basic literacy and phonics rules, but we're using little video clips, songs. Often they've got a lot of movement in them, so the children are finding that really a playful, enjoyable way to engage in literacy. I think half the time they don't even realise that they're learning and absorbing that information. Then we usually all sit down on the mat and we do the explicit teaching component of what focus we have for literacy that day. And then obviously with foundation level children, they need lots of time to practice and consolidate and master skills.
One of the great successes that we really saw after using the explicit teaching and the playful instruction approach was that the children, particularly in literacy area, were able to transfer their new knowledge into other areas. So we'd really lifted the expectation, not put a lid on their learning, made the task really open, and it gave them the opportunity to really show us what they could do.
So it's taken us a while, but we've been experimenting with ways to integrate across all curricular areas to make sure things go smoothly, but also to make the learning more meaningful.
Time was allocated to the teachers for planning and developing common assessment tasks. This is necessary to get data and for moderation, and this created discussion amongst the teachers about what was in the curriculum, about some of the changes in terminology which had to be embedded in the teaching and the learning.
At the beginning of the year we implemented a maths program in the upper primary school, so across 2 classes. In order to assess our students and put them into groups, we gave them a summative test. Through those assessments we created 6 groups. Within one group I may have Year 5s, Year 6s and Year 7s. So having that knowledge of the Australian curriculum allows me to really break it down to assess what they know on a daily basis.
Within our math support program I take the top 3 groups, so the mathematically minded children. I created an Excel spreadsheet, so I have one for number, one for measurement and geometry, one for statistics and probability, and then within there I have listed all the content descriptors along with all the current elaborations. From there I have all my students listed down the side, and then when I see them achieving a content descriptor or an elaboration, I just highlight that they've achieved that, which then allows me to have a clear guide when it comes time to do reports. I do have a handful of EALD students. I just make sure for those students that I always have diagrams available. From there I make sure that we talk about any new language, we put it up on the board. I've got students that are ranging up to a Year 12 ability in maths, so a lot of peer tutoring, peer assistance where needed.
It's really important to actually make a strategic plan and say, what are we going to tackle first? How are we going to tackle? And then I suppose you tap in then to that experience, and from there it just it flows.
This year at the primary school we have a maths support program in place to support not only the EALD students but all of the students, and to differentiate learning. The students are streamed according to ability, and within the classroom there are 4 different groups. We have 2 rotations per class. There's a high student to teacher ratio. There's the classroom teacher, there's myself, the ESL teacher, and there's also an education assistant within the room. So at all times, apart from one group, 3 groups are working with the teacher, receiving explicit teaching and a high level of support. One group is working independently, practicing a skill that has been taught to them.
By looking at the way that we change the delivery of curriculum, and like through the maths support program, and looking at the inquiry learning and all that has made a huge difference. But it's about all that effective feedback, from their peers, from their teacher. They're more actively engaged in that conversation, so they get to learn the language a lot better and the social skills.
In primary schools, many of our programs are integrated across the learning areas. So this term, to cover the dance component of the arts and integrated through the phys ed program, we have brought in an outside company. Their program is run in line with the Australian curriculum, and they provide a wonderful dance program for the students for the term, which culminates in a concert at the end of the term. My advice to other schools starting out with the Australian curriculum is to take small steps, to look at one learning area at a time.
I suppose for me, now having been investigating and trialling and using the Australian curriculum for nearly 4 years, one of the biggest, most surprising aspects of the curriculum has been how easily and how quickly the children have taken on board the new learning, especially in terms of literacy, where they're learning and using language and literacy skills in their reading and writing that I never perceived possible to start with.
We do a lot of parent forums where parents can come in and they do what we do in the classroom. So they're like the kids. And that's been really powerful because they do that and then they actually get the opportunity to go into the classrooms and actually watch how their children operate. So they get this knowledge of, that's what school's like. And then we get the link between school and home. And that's been really great because it's getting parents into the school. But also it's generating great conversations with the community about all the great things that we're doing, for every single child. The Australian curriculum is a way of, it's a journey, it's a new journey for staff. And it's about not throwing out what we've already done, but actually building and using the capacity from that to build on something new. So it's a journey we do together. It inspires people to actually change, to, I suppose, reflect on what they're already doing and work as a team to make sure that we can, develop a curriculum that suits the needs of everyone.